The Warren Legacy Foundation was left in the wake of Lorraine Warren just before her unfortunate passing, which was supposed to carry out her work as a paranormal investigator and psychic medium even after she's gone. And it was set up by not just Lorraine, but also her grandson, Chris McKinnell. And basically the idea of the Warren, Paranormal Research and Legacy Foundation, it was established in 2014, and it was a global network of professionals dedicated to studying paranormal phenomena, assisting those experiencing supernatural disturbances, and educating the public on the paranormal. Based on its mission, it continues the work of the renowned paranormal investigations of Ed and Lorraine Warren, focusing on the dyslexia is playing up, give me a second. Denominational. I can't get that fucking word out. And approaches to paranormal research, psychic support, and helping individuals troubled by paranormal activity, right? So, I'm sorry, it was really not playing game. I feel embarrassed now. But, basically, the Warren Legacy Foundation, like I say there, was set up in the wake of Ed and Lorraine Warren after they were kind of winding down in their later years, and was supposed to kind of continue the mission forwards alongside many other people, right? But it has recently been exposed by an ex-member of the Warren Foundation, Boo Production. Now, Boo Production is very well known for kind of, in the debunkers circle for, being like one of those people that would go out and help in the demonic cases and all the rest of it. And it's very interesting, some of the things that he came out with regards to why he left. Because obviously when you look at the Warren Foundation on the surface, Ed and Lorraine Warren have this kind of glitz and glamour kind of shine around them, especially seeing as they basically sold the rights to their lives to Warner Bros. To create the Conjuring franchise. The series about the Annabelle doll and about the Nun and about whatever it is that they've got coming up next. They basically sold their lives to Warner Bros. And basically just got a fat stack before they died. Can't blame them, but it's what they did. Now, the idea of the Warrens, foundation was investigations and assistance, education and outreach, global network, merchandise and media, right? And those were kind of the key pillars of what they did. Now, the foundation emphasizes continuing the Warrens' legacy, notably tied to high-profile cases like the Amityville Horror and the Conjuring. However, specific financial details, program impacts, and internal governance are not fully disclosed in available sources, okay? But that was until Boo Productions came out with their video stating why they quit the Warren Foundation. And this is on their channel. If you want the full in-depth thing, obviously you need to go over to their video because it gives a lot more depth, but it's really interesting. So in the video, they go over the reasons for them leaving the Warren Legacy Foundation. So Boo Productions goes on to say that they left due to multiple reasons, including mismanagement, a lack of transparency, and unprofessional conduct. And these are all key factors, including financial mishandling. So, for example, through the Patreon funds linked to Chris McKinnell's personal PayPal, and with some money being spent on personal expenses. Also, there being unqualified members and poor case management. So, for example, dangerous suggestions when handling demonic cases. And the foundation was not a legitimate entity. There was no non-profit or LLC status after a former member left, which is undermined its credibility completely. And apparently there were also egos and favoritism within the foundation, which created drama and hindered the operations, with some members even using the Warrens' name for personal fame. So basically they're trying to build up their own credibility by leeching off of the Warrens' name. But even, when they were alive, there was a lot of speculation around whether any of it was true. Then the Conjuring movies came out and everyone sort of believed, because they said, this is based on true events or whatever. Everyone was like, wow, they must have been legit. And then in later years, it's kind of come out that maybe some of the stories were a little bit fabricated, maybe a little bit exaggerated for the sake of the movies and also for personal profit. But there are also misconceptions about the foundation itself. So the Warren Legacy Foundation is not actually affiliated with the NESPR, or the New England Society for Psychic Research, which manages the Warrens' haunted objects like Annabelle. And the foundation was created by Chris McKinnell and Lorraine Warren to connect paranormal investigators with residential cases globally. but it failed to achieve this effectively. Now, the claims of having professionals like psychiatrists and clergy were exaggerated or false, with some, quote, clergy members lacking legitimate credentials, for example, an archbishop with questionable qualifications. So this person was actually a part of the Warren Foundation, but their credentials didn't quite match up to the job title, so it looked a little bit sus on paper. And apparently there was also organizational dysfunction. So the foundation had over 100 members, but only about 10 were actively involved within the foundation, with many being underqualified or uninterested. And Boo Productions, as a regional director for this entity, worked around 40 to 50 hours a week alongside a full-time job handling cases across regions due to others' inaction, which is absolutely insane. So the interview process was quite lax as well, apparently. So, for example, the Boo Productions, when he was hired, was only asked 2 basic questions, and meetings were disorganized, featuring unprofessional behavior like complaining about leadership in front of new members. But everything kind of came crashing down for Boo Productions within the Warrens kind of cases when debunkers got their hands on the Warrens and kind of really dug deep into the closet and found a hell of a lot of skeletons. So, for example, Boo Productions became disillusioned after discovering evidence from debunkers like Kenny Biddle and Stevie from Truth or Demons podcast that Ed and Lorraine Warren fabricated or even exaggerated cases for fame and money. Now, specific lies apparently include the Amityville Horror, which is debunked as a money-making scheme concocted with the Lutz family's lawyer with no evidence of any demonic activity. The Enfield Poltergeist, where the Warrens were minimally involved, well, they were only there for a day, despite claiming a central role. Annabelle apparently was completely fabricated, so the story of a motorcycle crash after taunting Annabelle lacks any evidence at all, and the doll's backstory, or the spirit of a girl versus demonic presence, changed inconsistently. There was a haunting in Connecticut, where there were claims of necrophilia in a funeral home which were baseless, and they hired an author who was told to fabricate details. And then there's the Bathsheba Sherman from The Conjuring, falsely portrayed as a witch who sacrificed children or took their own life, and she was the real person who actually lived peacefully into her 80s and was never the villain. And her gravestone was even defaced multiple times because, based off of the Conjuring movies, Bathsheba Sherman was seen to be this horrendous person. Fortunately, things are all fixed now, and it's all sorted over with her gravestone, but it's the fact that, she was portrayed as this villain when actually she wasn't. But then, he goes on to talk about his own personal experiences. So, obviously, his wife, Dana, joined the foundation but faced exclusion due to a perceived favoritism. Despite her qualifications, her involvement was limited and she felt like a, quote, number rather than a valued member. And the foundation's demands strained their personal life, you can imagine, with 40-50 hours a week, with Boo Productions often unavailable due to constant meetings and casework, leading to Dana to consider leaving paranormal investigations full stop. And then there's also criticisms of Chris McKinnell, who, of course, like I said at the start of the video, is the grandson to Lorraine Warren, who helped Lorraine to set up this entire organization. So, Chris McKinnell, Lorraine Warren's grandson, is described as a nice but naive individual unprepared to run a foundation, and he's trusted unqualified people, leading to high turnover and drama. And he sought recognition as the Warrens' grandson and pursued books or TV deals, possibly for personal gain, despite earlier avoiding the spotlight. And then there's also the impact that this has had on the paranormal field. So the Warrens normalized paranormal investigations, reducing stigma. But their fabrications, for example, portraying all cases as demonic, harm the field's credibility, especially with modern internet scrutiny. And Boo Productions' faith in paranormal persists, but it is tempered by skepticism, influenced by debunkers, and the foundation's dysfunction. And then there's also apparently miscellaneous observations. So Boo Productions questions claims about cursed objects within the Warrens Museum, citing rumours that items were actually garage sale purchases, as opposed to actually from, haunted locations. And a strange audio glitch in Stevie's recording repeating their last line, possibly sounding like Ed Warren's voice, is noted but dismissed as likely non-paranormal within the interview. Now, it's very interesting because, of course, Ed and Lorraine Warren, like I said, sold their soul essentially, or sold the rights to their lives to Warner Bros. And you can't really make a good horror movie without a lot of drama and a lot of, you know, excitement. And a lot of these cases probably weren't anywhere near as exciting as they were made out to be within the movies. We've seen that with The Conjuring, for example, with Bathsheba Sherman being completely villainized, when actually she was quite peaceful, pretty chill lady, apparently. I don't know what else to tell you, but yeah, it's very interesting to see kind of behind the veil, so to speak, and see how dysfunctional things truly are, and how the Warrens' name is essentially just used to promote nothing but, like, false hope to a degree. That's how it comes across to me. And it seems like Boo Production, is seeking a route of, you know, trying to support people opposed to, like, in a decent way, opposed to going through the Warren Foundation where it's going to kind of be tarnished. But what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. While you're down there, don't forget to subscribe, and until next time, I'll speak to you later. Peace.